Straight Talk with your host Reggie B. Come on, let's all join in. Free your voice, it's your choice, alright here. Oh, Simply Straight Talk.
Hello to every one of our Simply Straight Talk listeners. Are you ready to free your mind and free your voice? Well, you're listening to the right podcast. So let's get this real talk started with your host, Reggie Maddox.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Simply Straight Talk podcast. Today we got Miss Angelique with us.
Whoop whoop, hello. I'm here.
Now we know everybody, we got a lot of questions in. First, we want to say thank you to everybody for submitting your questions. We're going to answer them honestly, and we're just going to give you our thoughts. Keep in mind, you know we love disclaimers. Okay?
Hit them with a disclaimer, Reggie, please. I hope it's the one I'm thinking of.
Just know, okay, we're not doctors, we're not lawyers, we are not psychiatrists.
Nope.
We're just good people, just giving you some feedback.
And opinions,
That's
not
it.
fact.
That's it. So do not take it personal if it doesn't go with what you want us to say.
Don't take it personal.
So just kind of, embrace the information, share it. But we will start with the first question is from Randy.
Okay, Randy, hit me.
Okay, I have a question, but I don't know if any of you will answer the question on the show. Why do some women act like men do not feel or hurt? It's so damn annoying when I hear or see women posting comments about men not being able to love or feel like they do. Some of them also say that a man can't love a child as much as a woman does. I get so tired of being branded as a robot. When we speak about how we feel, women say, now you know how women feel, or welcome to our world. I know I am ranting a little bit, but all men do not hate or doubt the ability of women. I am a single father and my wife does not contribute shit. If a man goes to court for child support on a woman, we are seen as weak and heartless. I give everything I got for my son and daughter. It just bothers me that outside of our home, the world tells them that a man cannot be a good parent, love or raise them with good values to be successful in life. I didn't mean to rant, but I just needed a space to get this off my chest. Hearing Angelique talk about her father is the only positive voice I hear that sounds sincere about fathers. I am open to your thoughts if you think I'm wrong.
I swear I've answered this question,
No, we
I know
talked
this
about
question.
it.
Oh, we talked about
We
it. Did we
talked
not
about
answer
it.
it?
We didn't answer
Gotcha. All right. Because I was like, I know this question. I felt it deep in my soul. Okay, Randy. First of all, thanks for sending a question. And just, thank you. It's brave to kind of put a piece of you out there and want help or answers or clarity or whatever. So thanks for that. Do you know what I personally would say? It is a myth that men don't feel. It's a massive myth. They're human beings just as much as women are. We as women may be a little bit more, have more of a space and allowance to express ourselves, and it's kind of like, because of stereotyping, women maybe feel more freer to express themselves and be more open with their emotions compared to like the space we create for men. But it's a complete myth that men don't feel. It's absolute, excuse my language, bollocks. Like, it is. And it's also a myth that there aren't any single fathers out there and any good single fathers out there. As some of the listeners may or may not know, my mother unfortunately wasn't around much. She had a drinking problem. She had things that she had to deal with and demons that she was facing, and she wasn't able to handle that. And so I would say my main parental person was my father. So it's a myth that there aren't any single fathers, or there aren't any good single fathers, because there are. And I remember my dad told me once that just because you're a woman does not mean you're meant to be a mother. Not every woman has a maternal bang. Not every woman wants a child. And I suppose that could be just as equally said for men, for a man. Just because you can reproduce doesn't mean, one, you're meant to be a parent, and that it's something that you'd be good at, or that one you want to do, that you enjoy. So this whole notion that only women can raise children, or only women can connect with children, have feelings about being a parent, I think is complete bollocks. And I think it's sad as well, because it means that dads get the short end of the stick in that case. When they're trying to fight for rights, everyone wants to hand the child over to the mother. But if the mother is not in a space to be a suitable parent or provide that space of loving care and home, then what do we do? Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't just give it to the mum just because stereotypes say that, oh, children need their mothers. Children need a parent who loves them and can provide a safe home, whether that's the dad or the mum. Ideally, you want both, of course. Ideally. But we're not living in a, you know what I mean, a fairyland here. You're dealing with reality and you have to deal with the facts. And if the mother's not a suitable parent or the father's not a suitable parent, you have to choose the most suitable role and suitable person, sorry. So, yeah, I think it's a myth, Reggie. That, I mean, do you feel? You feel, right?
I do. It's definitely a myth, and I do understand what he's saying, because a lot of what we see today is everything is, I think men want to see women progress, but it's kind of like kick the other in order for one to go up. So especially over here, like right now, there's a lot of controversy because everybody know Dr. Dre, the rapper. His wife wanted $17 million a month child support.
Whoosh.
So she ended up getting $3 million a month that he has to pay her. So people are like, it's just unfair, in the difference in the fact that, he has to pay that amount of money. Like, no child, don't get me wrong, we all want to take care of children, but no child requires $3 million a month
Of course not.
of care.
Mm-mm.
So I get what he's saying, but it's like you said, it's just that a lot of times, when it comes to children, everything is more towards the woman, and you're absolutely right. A lot of the courts, I know the courts here are kind of like, in order for the father to get the child, he has to go to hell to prove that she's an unfit mother. It's like a last resort to give the child to the father.
Yeah, and that's a shame.
It is. It's
yeah,
sad.
and I would say the whole why do women think men don't have feelings things. I think like you also need to look at the people you're surrounding yourself with. If that's how you truly feel, then maybe look at the women you're interacting with, because that's not all women believe that men don't have feelings. Do you know what I mean? I don't personally believe that, and I know I'm not some random unicorn in a world of like 9 billion people. Do you know what I mean? So I think if you're constantly coming into contact with women that don't respect your feelings or don't believe you have feelings, then maybe you need to look at also the people you're interacting with sometimes. And maybe vet the people you're interacting with and only interact with people that see you as an emotionally intelligent being, and therefore you can have those interactions with them as well. Because it's a myth. Not all women believe that men are rocks.
No.
Like just unfeeling rocks. Just the same way that, not all men think women are some overly emotional, sappy beings. It's, I'm not saying there aren't people that don't think these things, but you don't concern yourself with those people. Focus on the people you want to be around that respect you and see you as an emotionally intelligent being, and focus on attracting and manifesting and interacting with people like that, and ignore the others. They're not your problem.
Exactly. And just as far as his kids go, Randy, just stay a positive influence in your kids' life. That's the best way to do it. And they'll know that they have a good father, so all that other stuff will begin to fade away, because you can't monitor and control everything out there in the world once they step out the house.
No.
So just do what you can for your kids, like you're doing now. And, like I said, there's no book for how to do this.
Oh my gosh, no.
No. So, but just stay positive, man, and just take care of your kids. Keep being the father that you are, and just let your love and how you treat your kids reflect in their life, and it'll work out. It'll work out.
Most definitely. Like, I will say this: my dad wasn't perfect. I love my dad. I also love my mother. Do you know what I mean? Neither of them were perfect, and they were flawed beings, as we all are. But the one thing I did know is I was loved. I had no doubt about that, and that is what children carry with them when they step outside those doors, when they're interacting with the world. So you just need to let them know they're loved, and to teach them to love themselves as well, to know themselves, to be confident in themselves, to know who they are. If you can establish that in any child, whether you're a man or a woman, then that's the best you can do for your child, because there's only so much you can do for a child. The child is eventually going to have to figure things out and life out just like you did. But if you can instill that base core foundation in them, you're really setting your child up start their life on the best foot. So just keep doing that, and don't worry about anybody else, any other else's opinion. Just stay in your lane and focus on promoting love and confidence and self-love and self-awareness within your children, and they will be just fine.
There you go.
Doom.
Our next question is anonymous.
Okay, anonymous.
Yeah, they want to remain anonymous.
That's cool. I respect that.
I do.
Reggie don't. He's lying. He's like, anonymous. Please.
What is your name?
Yeah, I want your name.
I am somewhat embarrassed to ask my question and afraid to hear the answer, but here we go. My daughter is 15 and she loves social media. I don't have a problem with her being on social media, but I have noticed that she is starting to post videos that are a little more sexual in body movement and a lot of booty shaking out. What's that? Yeah, booty shaking, twerking, and grinding. When I talk to her about it, she says everyone is doing it and I'm just being overprotective. She now has an attitude of everything is about money. What advice would you offer that could help me to get her to understand that social media and celebrity attitudes do not bring easy money or success? She needs to think about what she does, especially how people will perceive her. I want her to understand that the things she posts can affect her future. Thank you for the support of single fathers.
Oh, another single dad. Aw. Salute to all the single parents, whether you're a dad or a woman, by the way. Just salute, because it's not easy.
No.
That is not easy, because there's a big generational gap. Do you know what I mean? Between adults and children right now, especially in terms of the lifestyle that are the current young generation are in. Because none of us, you know what I mean, or who are adults, let's say who is like 35 and up, lived in the generation of social media or had so much celebrity things shoved in our faces the way our young generation is. So it's hard for us to often connect and relate to, because we look at it and it boggles our mind. We're like, I don't understand what the hell is going on here. But you've also got to understand that this is their world, and on some level you're never really going to fully understand it. But I would say, is if it's a dad raising a girl, if you've got any female friends or relatives that you trust and you respect how they carry themselves, and you know what I mean, I would maybe ask them to come and talk to your daughter as well, especially if it's someone that they trust and respect as well, because sometimes it's easier for someone other than your parent to talk to you. You don't always have to be the one that steps in for everything. Sometimes it's good to outsource it to an auntie or a cousin. Do you know what I mean? Who can connect with them on a more kind of like-minded basis. Do you see what I mean? I had a similar circumstance where I had to talk to my niece. And it was a bit difficult for me because, again, I did not grow up in this world. I can't fully connect to the whole need to put my whole body and face online. But I remember I told her, I said, listen, you're a teenage girl. You're going to be exploring your body, your sexuality, regardless whether social media existed or not, because that's what people need to understand. Her finding out her feminine sexuality and her power is normal, because we've all done that when you start getting interested in boys, and you start realizing that actually I'm attracted to boys, and you start getting all those feelings. Those are normal. The difference is it's now happening a little bit more publicly, and parents are a little bit more like scared about what is happening. I remember I said to my niece that, okay, right, so this is a random question thing that I threw at my niece Reggie. It's gonna sound crazy, but there was a point to what I said to her. So I said to her, just imagine you had to look after a little baby. Would you give your baby to a serial killer? And she was like, no. Looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, great. Would you give the baby to, someone who is a random stranger on the street? She goes, no. I was like, okay. And would you just leave your baby out on the street for anyone else to kind of pick up and touch and look at? And she was like, no, of course not. I said, well, why would you not do those things? And she kind of looked at me like, you're crazy. Why are you asking such dumb questions? And I just said, humour me, answer. And she said, well, because I love this, it's my baby, and I'd love to protect it. And I said, exactly. I said, so why does your body and your mind deserve any less care or love? I was like, there's not a problem that you want to express yourself. I said, but you have to respect your body and mind. It's yours to protect. And when you are out there freely showing off your body, overtly maybe sending off signals to random strangers, that's effectively what you're doing. It's no different from standing on the street and maybe twerking, dancing, overly sexualizing yourself, and random strangers just coming up to you and going, "Ooh, I like it. Oh, nice," and touching you. It's no different. You wouldn't like that, but because of social media, you feel safe to do it from the comfort of your own home. Oh, it's safe. No one can harm me. It's not going to affect you. But the reality is, this generation, everything you do is immortalized online. And now, when you're looking to apply for that job in the future, excuse the background, I am at home. That was an ambulance going past. When the kids are looking to apply for college, their future jobs, they all will now research their online presence. We didn't have to deal with that, but this generation does. So they need to think about the fact that, okay, I get that it's fun in the moment, but you have hopes and dreams of things that I'm sure the young girl wants to achieve. And you could end up jeopardizing that by the fact that you're kind of creating this image and persona of yourself. Unfortunately, you always have to kind of be aware of the fact that people are perceiving you, and you want to make sure that how you're representing yourself is a true reflection of you, of someone with integrity, class, and dignity. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with expressing yourself, so you just have to kind of make sure she's aware of that. And maybe it shouldn't be the dad that says it. Maybe it should be someone who's female or someone who's younger, that can relate to her, possibly, is what I would say.
I agree. I mean, I think a lot of the young generation they love being on social media and posting on the internet, but I don't think they understand that going forward. He has a valid concern, because I know here, a lot of jobs, they will Google you. People will Google you.
Standardly.
Yeah, and all this stuff that you're posting on social media, look at the celebrities. A lot of the stuff they posted 15 and 20 years ago is coming back to bite some of them. But it's just the social media part is just hard to get past. I think you hit it right on the head. He needs to find somebody that's another female to really intervene on the situation. I think she'll listen more. Yeah,
because otherwise it's just dad being dad.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean, doesn't understand me. He's just trying to stop me from having fun. And obviously that's not the case. You're just trying to look out for her. But I think if you keep pressing the point, you're now going to create this thing that is like a bone of contention in your relationship. And you got to remember, as teenagers, we don't like to listen to our parents at the best of times. Yeah. So if you keep harping on about something, they're just going to ignore you now. Like, you're just white noise. You're Charlie Brown to her right now. Wah, 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 wah. And so you need to maybe try a different tactic of someone else speaking to her and showing her the concept. And that's the thing, as a young person, you don't understand cause and effect. You're too young. You're just in the moment. It's YOLO. Do you know what I mean? It's like you only live once. So she's too young to understand that her actions, every action has as an effect and a consequence. And it's not to kind of like pop her bubble of fun, but it's also just to make her a little bit more consciously aware. You know what I mean? Of that your actions have consequences, and know that it will be you that has to reap them. So think carefully about things that you're doing. It's not to say you can't have fun, but just understand, if she's 15, she's going to be 16 soon, you're going to be considered a young adult, and you will be accountable for your actions. There's only so long you'll be able to use the excuse, oh, I was young. No one's going to care when you get to a certain age.
No. And for all the young people, about to choke on
He's choking. Take a moment, just breathe.
Oh, man. For all of the young people out there, you need to understand something. What you see these celebrities do, they're already rich. They already have money. So they're just giving you an image because they're trying to sell something. So imitating them is not in your best interest. Not at all.
Well, yeah, because obviously they're only showing you a snapshot of their life, and also the life they're living is completely different to the life you're living. I'm not saying you shouldn't have aspirations, that you want to be more than where you are and want to be something bigger or different. There's nothing wrong with that. We all are allowed to have dreams. However, it's like, understand what's make-believe and what's reality, and learn to define the difference between the two, and don't get twisted up in that. You know what I mean? A lot of us on social media is not real, and it's there to sell a brand, to sell a product, to sell a film, to sell a song.
Exactly.
It serves a purpose. It's all big advertising, and that's fine when you take it for that. Yeah, but when you take it as truth and reality and gospel, and you're now trying to mimic it at the cost of your own self-worth and detriment, and putting yourself in debt, or you're changing your body, or you're trying to imitate something and put yourself out of who you should be or who you were meant to be, that's when it starts to become dangerous.
Exactly. Please listen.
Please, like I said, have fun. Social media's there. This is their world. You can't hide them from it. This is their new world. Yeah, and like I said, a teenage girl exploring her own femininity and stuff. That's normal. That's no different from boys and girls asking each other out at school, kissing behind the bike sheds, going on dates. The difference is it's just happening to be a little bit more done in your face online, which is freaking parents out. Because usually, our generation, we did this stuff like behind our parents' backs. So,
Yeah.
they were like, ignorance is bliss. But now it's on social media, and you're like, what the hell is she doing? And it's like, she probably would have done this anyway. She just wouldn't have had like a camera there to film it, like we did. So you've also got to be careful not to like create a taboo around her exploring herself and developing as a young woman. This is normal. It's a bit more public, and it's scaring the hell out of parents, which I understand.
Yes. Oh, too much access. Next one. Powerful woman.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's her username.
Go
Well, what's your bad self? She just made it clear. Powerful woman.
Powerful woman. Okay.
Powerful woman. Hit me with your question.
I need my husband to man up. Hey, I'm just reading what she wrote.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm just reading what she wrote.
Whoa, I felt that.
In June of 2020, my husband lost his job due to the pandemic. He is a good husband. I can never deny that about him. When he was working, he handled the finances. Twice a month, we would discuss our financial status and make decisions on what was needed to be done and what our plans were. After our talk, he would follow through with what we discussed. Since he has been out of work, I have been making the decisions, and I don't feel the meetings are necessary as I know what needs to be done. He started doing delivery jobs and taking on labor jobs because he wants to contribute to the household. But we have been arguing more frequently lately because I have been making the decisions on our finances. I know it's hard for him going from $85,000 a year to just $8 or $13 an hour jobs. My career is going well, and I think he's jealous and can't handle a strong woman taking the lead. Can you tell me if it's worth staying in this? I can do better by myself without the drama.
Oof.
I got some feelings about this.
Oof. Yeah, I mean, okay, listen, all right, because this is hard because she's allowed to feel how she feels. I want to clarify that. There's no wrong or right feeling here. You feel how you feel, that's how you feel. You must speak your mind, so at least she's speaking her mind. However, you have to be very careful when you're speaking your mind to make sure you're doing it from a place of understanding and compassion. Sometimes, because I'm very forthright. My partner nicknamed me Mac 10. That means I'm like a bullet out of a gun, and I'm not the most tactful, diplomatic person because I just prefer to speak my mind and listen. It is what it is, isn't it? However, I have also had to learn the problem with being a gun is people get shot, and there are casualties in me delivering my truth. And does it need to be so harsh? Does it need to be so aggressive to drill my point? And the answer is no, it doesn't. I can still speak my truth while speaking from a place of understanding and compassion. Like, I think as human beings, we don't take enough time to put ourselves in other people's shoes. You've just stated that he's gone from 85,000 down to $8 to $10. That's a massive drop. And that drop, let's leave the financial drop to the side. That's a massive hit to the ego. That's a massive hit to his sense of self. That's a massive hit to his sense of identity. He more than likely identified himself by what he did and his financial status. That has now been removed. And on top of that, the world is crazy at the moment. The jobs that maybe he could have applied for before aren't available anymore. The whole industry in the world, every industry is changing. So he's out here trying to figure out his sense of self and identity. But on the flip side, I'm sure that also affects his partner. Oh, hello. Mm-hmm. Sorry, it went completely blank on my line, so I thought you'd gone.
No.
On the flip side, it's also affecting his wife. Because she also, without knowing it, she also identified him as he's the man because he earned 85,000. He's the man because, he used to do X, Y, Z. And now you've effectively said he's not the man anymore. Your first start of your sentence was he needs to man up, meaning you're saying he's not a man anymore.
Yeah.
You've effectively also taking away his identity. And I'm sure she's not doing this maliciously because you're with him, you love him. I'm assuming that, yeah? But you've got to understand by saying statements like you need to man up, you are re-adding to the probably the self inner talk that he's got going on at the moment. My wife says I need to man up. I'm not a man. I don't earn anymore. Look at me. I'm a bum. I'm not doing this. I'm doing that. Meanwhile, you're going man up, man up, man up, man up. Like, can you imagine if you had your sense of self stripped away and someone says, "Get your shit together"? It's like, I thought I did have it together. I don't have it. I don't know what. I'm trying. I'm floundering. And I understand her because it's probably freaking her out to see him act differently, to behave differently. And as a result, you're trying to like, come on, shake him out of it. But you need to give him time and you need to give him understanding, because if the shoe was in the other foot and he was forcing you to woman up, you wouldn't like it. No one would. Do you know what I mean? And I know there's a state of, yeah, but how much time should I give him? Baby, if you're with him in the long run, then time is time. Like, there is no rush. Do you see what I mean? Like, unless you're planning to, like, leave the planet or, like, you know what I mean? You've got goals that need to happen right about now. What is the rush? Give him time. Like, you're with him. You said till death do us to part. Like, in sickness and in health, good times and bad. It means there is no time limit. You cannot pressure someone to get themselves back on their foot. All you can do is keep encouraging them. And it may feel like you're repeating yourself and it may feel like you're taking the load. But I guarantee you, and I don't wish this on anybody, at some point the roles may be reversed for some other reason and he's going to have to step in and support you. And I'm sure at that point you'll want him to have unending, unconditional patience for you. It's hard, but unless you have more compassion and understanding and an allowance for yourself and him, you're going to keep logging heads.
Exactly. I take issue with powerful woman because I do, because she has taken his manhood. The way she's approached the whole situation. If you're saying that you guys were having meetings twice most people don't even do that.
No.
They don't even meet to discuss their finances, to see where they're going. And apparently he was following through on whatever they discussed. So when the roles are flipped and now you're the moneymaker, all of a sudden there's no need to include him in the financial planning. That's not only a slap in the face, it's disrespectful. It's telling him that he doesn't matter.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, and Angelique's right. You basically stripped him of his ego. I mean, you really have. And then to come back and say, is it worth staying in this? But when you literally said that he's a good husband and you can't deny that about him. So either you feel like you're above the relationship now and you want out. I mean, it's just the whole way it came across. It's like, I'm doing good. He's not up to my level. So either he needs to come up or I'm bouncing.
Yeah, the thing is, like I said, there's nothing wrong with having your wants and desires. It's about how you express it and maybe considering all parties involved. There's nothing wrong that she wants a partner that is equally with her moving forward in life. Mm-hmm. You both deserve that, but how you're going about asking about that, and maybe the kind of push and pressure and the dismissiveness of how you're saying it. You got to think about how would you feel if the shoe was on the other foot and you heard your partner saying that to you. It's, you know what I mean? And also understanding what really matters to you in life. It's like, okay, you said, Reggie, you just stated that he's a good husband. So what is it you want from him? Do you want him to just be the moneymaker, or like what matters to you? Like what do you need in a relationship to feel happy? And it's different for everybody. I'm not here to tell you that you shouldn't want a husband that earns a certain amount, because it's different things for different people.
Right.
But do you see what I mean? So I don't want to make out like, oh, because you're demanding this, you're wrong. No, she's allowed to ask for what she wants, and same for him. But there needs to be a bit more understanding and compassion, and maybe putting yourself in his shoes. And this is because the thing is, what people forget, it's easy to thrive when you're thriving. Yeah, it's easy to be happy when all things are, we're earning money, we're on holidays, I got that Gucci, I got that, you know what I mean, vehicle. But when shit hits the fan, that's when you really need to figure out, are you actually in this together? Are you a team? And sometimes when one person's tired and lagging behind, you need to take up the slack, or you figure out a strategy where you maybe help him figure out what he wants to do next and encourage him to look into that so that he can find his footing again. but it's got to be done together, and there's got to be a lot of encouragement. And it might feel like you're putting him along, but darling, that's what it is. Sometimes one partner's down and the other one's up. And speaking from my own experience, I'm currently in a similar situation. I lost my job recently, and it threw me for six. I'm not okay right now. I'm not going to bullshit. I'm not okay. And my partner's doing a lot of encouraging, and I'm sure there's days when he is tired of hearing me say certain things, and he wants me to be back to who maybe I was. But the fact is, no one can go back. They can only go forward. Yeah, so wanting him to be who he was is kind of bashing him over the head about making him feel like he's failed. Ask him who does he want to be moving forward, and help him get there and encourage him. That's all I would say about that.
I can do better by myself without the drama. You are the drama, powerful woman. You are the drama. Let's move on.
Reggie has spoken. I'm not saying nothing. Like I said, you're allowed to say what you want to say. I'm not saying shit. Same way she posed the question and said what she said. You can say what you want, Reggie. I'm going to say what I want. And it's a land of free speech. Moving on. Next question.
Oh, let's see what Mojito and Black Velvet got to say.
Ooh, Mojito and Black Velvet. That sounds like a nightclub.
I kind of like that.
Where you going? Mojito and Black Velvet. Okay, what's the question?
I kind of like that.
Mojito and Black Velvet. I love that.
Recently, my husband and I were enjoying a little bit of pillow talk that led us into a discussion about other people we find attractive. Since we both enjoy the show and often like to have our own conversation about your topics, we decided to see if you would discuss our conversation and provide your feedback. Basically, I told him some random guys that I thought were attractive, but that doesn't mean I want to sleep with them. He also shared with me the names of some of the women he thought was attractive. Now, I did mention that I thought his best friend, his best friend was attractive, and he got in his feelings a little bit, and I have noticed that he has been avoiding his best friend and not having him over. Eventually, his friend approached him and he explained why he was acting different, and now things are awkward even when we do couples night with his friend and his wife. I said he was wrong for telling him, and he said it was no big deal. Now I feel like there are certain things I can't share with him. He is aware that I am sending you this and said that you're going to say I am overreacting, so send it. What are your thoughts? I laugh every time I read that.
Well, I should have known from Mojito and Black Velvet is the name where that was going to go, you know. Them type of pillow talk conversations there. I mean, listen, first of all, I love the transparency, and at least you guys were at least trying to have an open conversation. That is an extremely open conversation, and I will say this, human beings have very fragile egos.
Yes, yes.
It's a very fragile ego system we have. Not ecosystem, do you like how I did that? Ego system. We have a very fragile ego system within ourselves, and some people... Hey, no skin on my nose. You like that guy? Cool. Yeah, you're right. He is a good-looking guy. We move on. Some people, there's a line. Everyone has a line. Mm-hmm. And you have to respect that. Whether you understand it or not. Yeah? There'll always be one partner who's slightly more open, doesn't really give a shit, and there's one that maybe isn't. It's called balance. But you must respect your partner's line, whether you understand it or not. Yeah, and it's hard sometimes because it's like, yeah, but I don't feel that way about it. It's not a big deal. I said that. He can say it. I'm cool. But that's you. Okay? I guarantee you there's something your ass is sensitive about as well. So I appreciate that maybe you feel like he's overreacting. And maybe initially he did. But again, just as much as you're allowed to feel how you feel, so is he. And I think maybe having a conversation where it's about of understanding why he feels that way. Why does he feel away? Because that really is the main important point, okay? Because at the end of the day, you're both adults and you both were trying to have an open conversation and you were both out there flinging names. So you can't be mad at each other. Ooh. You know what I mean? You can't be mad at each other about why did you say you like my best friend? Because you were out there flinging names at each other. Like, you were claiming to be open-minded, yeah? But you need to understand why he took umbrage about you mentioning his best friend. Because I'm assuming the names you mentioned weren't people you know, they were just maybe celebrities, or maybe they were people you know. But either way, why did that one name bother him when the other names didn't? And talk about that and maybe get to the root of what triggered him so that you can be aware in future conversations how to communicate openly whilst respecting each other's boundaries. It's okay to have boundaries. It's okay that you've got things that you're sensitive about. It's maybe about how you talk to each other openly and leave the ego to the side as much as possible whilst respecting each other's boundaries. And in terms of the friend that they notified that my wife thinks you're nice, again, I think first of all the conversation needs to happen between the husband and wife to clarify and clear things up about what triggered for your partner, and then maybe, I don't know, that there also needs to be another open conversation with the best friend to clear the air, because that's awkward, and it's not fair to your best friend. He didn't ask to be involved in you lot's pillow talk.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he didn't ask to kind of for you to be mad at him about something your wife said. It's not fair to him. Do you know what I mean? He's your friend. You've known him, I'm assuming, for years. You guys have had your relationship with each other, double dates and such. I think after you guys are communicating and talk to each other, I feel like either your husband needs to talk to his friend, or altogether, whatever works for you guys. But a conversation needs to be had where maybe you apologize to him on some level, because it's not fair to him. You shouldn't be punishing him for some random pillow talk conversation. That's not fair. That's all I'm gonna say on that. You lot are brave, boy. Hey.
Oh man, I tell you what, they are brave. I give them credit, like you said, for having that conversation. The husband, man to man, bruh, you was wrong. First off, no man ever goes back and tell another man that my girlfriend, my woman, my wife thinks you're attractive or thinks you're hot, because we all know how men roll. Men will play on that. And I think that's why he might have got a little bit in his feelings, but he should not have went back and said something, because some men will test the waters. Like, oh, she think I'm attractive, huh? Let me, and then especially if you told him, he went back and told his wife. Now, his wife might be thinking, so does that mean she trying to make a play? Are y'all swinging? What's going on? Angelique is right. That pillow talk should have stayed in the bedroom between the two of you. Maybe she shouldn't have mentioned his best friend, because he probably got ooh, that's a little too close to home. You know? Like, this is somebody I bring around, somebody you see, and you telling me that you attracted to him, that might be a little too close to home for him. So I think that's why he may have gotten in his feelings. But I'm with her. Yeah. He shouldn't have told his friend.
Yeah, I don't think he should have. But the thing is, there's a lot of shoulds that happen because of this conversation. Let's be real. You shouldn't have said the best friend's name. You shouldn't have told the best friend. There's a lot of should, and it all started because you lot apparently were trying to have an open conversation. This is the thing I have, right? I get that. Ooh, your wife said your best friend's name, but at the end of the day, you lot were sitting there talking about who you think is hot. You already opened Pandora's box. You can't be mad when Pandora likes to jump out the box and then be like, "Hey, I'm here." You opened the box and wanted to look inside. Like Jamaicans say, you don't fast up yourself and don't open a door if you don't want to know what's on the other side. Yeah? Be careful about the things you're talking about. Really establish how open you really are, because apparently you guys both thought you were open and out here flinging out names. So why are you now mad at your wife now mentioning another name? You lot were flinging out names. So I can understand how it then took on a life, that conversation took on a life on its own. Do you see what I mean? Because it's like, oh, I think so. Oh yeah, I also think, because now you're in the role of the conversation. Your wife is there thinking everything's open because you've seemed cool up to this point. But what she's now established is that's your line. Yeah. And do you see what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, you won't know what someone's line is, I'm afraid, until you touch it. Unless they explicitly tell you. Most of the time, we don't actually know, sometimes within ourselves, what our boundaries are until someone presses that button. You pressed his button, fair dues. He didn't like that. You need to talk about it, so future conversations, you can keep that in mind. But I think the pillow talk should have stayed pillow, because now you've just created a very awkward circumstance. And I reckon he's done it out of fear and insecurity. Do you know what I mean? Because it's obviously touched a button for him, understandably, and he's obviously told his friend just to see what his reaction would be, and he's done it out of fear, Reggie. I feel like the husband did it out of some level of fear, which is understandable, but the problem is, like I said earlier, cause and effect. Actions have... there's cause and effect. You've got to understand, maybe take a moment to settle yourself, talk to your own ego and fear, because we all have it, before you start having conversations with people. I think we are so reactive as human beings. Oh, she said she liked me. What does that mean? And then he went on a spiral, and now and then he's told his friend. Instead of taking the time to just settle himself, maybe meditate, calm himself, peacefully talk to himself, if he'd done that, I guarantee you he wouldn't have told his friend.
Yeah.
But because he reacted, because he was triggered, as adults, we need to take the time to, when we are being triggered, take the moment to stop. Never, ever, let me tell you something for free. Never drink and drive, and never talk from reaction. Okay? Don't have conversations when you're in that triggered state. Isolate yourself, go for a walk, read a book, meditate, have a nap. Do what you need to do to just put a pause on your emotions, collect yourself, really think about it before you go have a conversation, because I guarantee you it would save a lot of hassle and heartache.
Exactly.
Lord, that was special.
Oh my goodness.
But well done for you guys being open though, because most people don't have them conversations. You just maybe need to just check the boundaries a little.
Yeah, kind of wean it in a little bit.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
A little bit.
Check before you throw that grenade. You know what I mean? Is it all clear? Is the coast clear? No? Okay, we don't throw the grenade then.
Oh my God! Well, we appreciate you, Mojito and Black Velvet. I still
love
love
your
y'all
name.
I know, I love that name.
Mojito and Black Velvet. I'm gonna name my pets that.
I think me and Viola David's gonna steal that name.
Oh, okay. All right now. Which one are you? Are you Mojito or is she Black Velvet?
I think, because I actually looked it up. Black Velvet is a man's drink. Mojito is a woman's drink.
Oh, okay.
So I had to look that up. I was curious.
I do like a mojito, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
All right, next question.
Confused guy.
Okay.
I'm 35, looking for some honest advice. Maybe one of you have been in this situation before. My wife, 29, has decided that she wants to explore outside of our marriage with other people. She says I can do the same. I have not been in that situation. She doesn't want a divorce or to end our relationship. This has left me irritated and confused, as I thought we were in a good place. I'm not happy with the idea, as I feel it would destroy our marriage. We have dated since, that explains a lot, since she was in high school. She has always said that she is so happy that she got to marry and spend her life with our high school love. She was happy that I was the only one that she knew as a lover. We have one child and have been together for 16 years. I know some people are happy with this lifestyle, but I don't think it's for me. Should I just take my child and walk away from this marriage, or just let things play out?
Oh, okay. First of all, let's not use the words take the child, because you don't get to take nothing. Okay. So let's just scrap that whole sentence. Okay. Secondly, it's hard. When you've been together with someone since you were 16,
yeah,
and that's all you've known, unfortunately, in some cases, not all, in some cases, there is a case that people feel like, and there's that FOMO, fear of missing out, that they're starting to ask the question of what would it have been like? I don't know what that's like. And it's hard. It's not really ideal when you've only just been with one person, because ideally you're meant to actually explore life and experience life so that you could then use that experience to then understand what it is that you want as an adult. I don't know, I can't speak for him because he didn't mention that she was his only lover. So I'm guessing maybe he had people before, like he's been with other people, because he didn't mention that fact. But let's play off that basis that maybe he's been with other people prior to her, but she hasn't. That's a hard situation to be in. It's understandable that she's answering, thinking these thoughts and wanting to try these things. However, she's not single. She is married. And so it's one thing if she was single and she wants to explore and try new things and see new people. But the reality is she's not. She's married. And if she's openly asked her husband that she wants to do this, and he has hopefully taken the time to really sit down, put his ego to the side and consider these things, and has decided it's not for him, decision has to be made. Because she can't force him to accept this lifestyle.
Yeah.
But just as equally, he can't force her to not want to express herself and grow either. Do you see what I mean? And it's hard because if one of you is not open for the open marriage type of thing, it's not going to work. People will get her, and if he forces himself to do it just to please her, he will resent her. Because it's not what he wants to do. It's not what it's like he wants. So if you force yourself to do something to please someone else, eventually it will backlash and you'll be resentful. And words like, I never wanted to do it, I just did it to please you, will come out and you'll end up eroding. So I'm not someone who likes to tell people, oh, you need to split up, because I'm not in the marriage. I don't know the insides and outs of the relationship. But if you have blatantly had this conversation multiple times, or you've really taken the time to consider it, and one of you wants it and the one doesn't, a decision is going to have to be made. Because otherwise you're just torturing each other. Because now you can't unsay what's been said, Reggie. You can't unhave that conversation.
Yeah.
He now knows that she's thinking these things. She has now expressed that she is thinking these things. Yeah, you can't just now sweep it under the carpet and make out like that conversation never happened. It's going to eat away at you. And that's why I say a decision needs to be made, because one way or the other, the situation will erode if it's not addressed. And only they can know what the decision is that needs to be made. But you don't try and sweep it under the carpet is my advice. Because you can't unsaid the conversation. It's been done now. It's been said.
Yeah, that's I think you're right, because I had a friend, and he dated a woman since right out of high school, and he was a police officer and she was a nurse. And it just turned into this big, big, hot ass mess, to be honest with you, because she did get to the point where she felt like she was missing out. And he traveled with her and took her places, but when she talked to her other friends, it was just that she didn't have the chance to have an actual life before him. Whereas, like you said, he had that opportunity. And it drove him crazy. It was like he darn near lost his job. I mean, he was, just stalking her and GPS in the car, and it just, it's not a good situation. It's not. I know it's a situation I would not want to be in. Like I said, I would never say leave or go.
No, only you can decide, and they can decide that.
Yeah, I mean, because she could just be having these ideas, and she may end up saying, you know what, that's not what I wanted. But I think you're right, though. If they go through with this, there's going to be some resentment.
Yeah, if he's genuinely not on board with it.
Yeah.
Genuinely. Like, if he's just doing it to please her because he's scared of losing her, you're going to lose her anyway. Because you're going to get resentful and you'll end up arguing and then you'll break up.
Mm-hmm.
There is no wrong or right way to deal with this. You can only follow your heart. And sometimes that does lead to unexpected choices. You know what I mean? Like, whether that's go or stay or whatever. Do you see what I mean? But you have to do what's right for you. And only she knows how serious she is about this idea of exploring people. It could just be that maybe she's actually bored in her life, maybe in her career or something else, and she's wanting to express herself, and maybe she thinks this is what it is. Do you see what I mean? Because sometimes it could be a case, like you said, Reggie, she's talking to her female friends and they're living the high single life or whatever, or they're telling her about their past life experiences, and she's thinking, I've never had this. But maybe she thinks it's that, and actually she just needs to sit down and work out what her passion is. And maybe explore something creative or something. Do you know what I mean? And it's actually that. Or just as equally, it could be a case that because she's not had experience with other men prior to this, she does feel like, oh, I'm not experienced. And unfortunately, it's hard because all those things of dating other people, having bad dates, having bad sexual experiences, having good sexual experiences are actually kind of the rite of passage of growing up. You do kind of need that. It's how you then establish who you are and what you do and don't want as an adult. And when you don't have that variety, you are kind of limited in who you have been up until that point. So it's hard. I feel for her and I feel for him because that's a difficult situation for both of them. But, yeah.
It is. I would just advise the both of them to really be careful, really think this through, because you hear right now on the news, I don't know where they're from, but there's a serious problem with a lot of relationships turning into violence and people getting killed. There was right now there's a video of a guy who busted in on his wife, and another guy, he stabbed his wife. There's a lot of violence taking place over relationships, and you don't want to jump into something where you bring somebody else in and, they get attached, emotions start getting mixed up. When you start getting emotions in the heart involved, a lot of things can happen and it may not always go the best way. So just think it through, talk to her. Try to get her to understand why you feel it's not a good idea. I mean, but that's tough. I don't know how
Yeah,
serious
it's
she is
tough.
about it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You need to gauge how serious she is. And there's that saying: if you love something, set it free. Yeah, it's hard, but if she's genuinely serious, genuinely, not just oh, I'm having a midlife crisis and I'm bored or whatever. I don't know. Um, you can't cage something just because you love it and you want to keep it. Things change, people change, and that's the other thing. That's the other thing people forget is that that girl you met is not the woman she is now,
Yeah.
and you cannot keep her trapped in the image of who she was when she was, I don't know, your teenage sweetheart. The same way he is not the same person, and you have to respect that people change, and sometimes you change with them, and sometimes you change without them, and so you never know. Sometimes you set something free and you leave her to go experience life and then you come back together. If it was meant to be, it's meant to be. Do you understand? And sometimes time apart is good for you, or maybe you can work it out together. I don't know, but a decision has to be made one way or the other.
Exactly.
But that's all I'm going to say on that. That is hard. And I send love to you both, boy.
Yeah. Hang in there, confused guy. Next one, Anonymous.
Ha, another one.
My daughter is 17 and she is starting to date, which I am not totally happy about. But I understand. I know. But I understand she's growing up. Her choice of young man is not impressing me. And I think that is my issue. She seems to be gravitating towards the thuggish guys, one guy who dropped out of school, and these Instagram guys. She is so intelligent and it shows in her schoolwork. She is always in the top of her class. Her mother is somewhat active in her life and does want the best for her. I never badmouth her mother as I want them to have a great relationship, but I think her mother wants to be a friend more than a parent. She jokes with her about sex and talks about sex in a way that I feel is encouraging her to become sexually active. I know she's at the age where she may experiment sexually, but I don't want her to think of sex as if it's a vacation getaway. Her mother is a free spirit when it comes to that. How can I guide my daughter without looking like the bad guy? I don't want to come across as I'm trying to interfere or sabotage the relationship with her mother. As a single black father, I refuse to see my daughter become another statistic.
Oh, that's hard.
Oh.
I think the fact of the matter is, she's 17. Yeah, so she's going to do what she's going to do, whether she has your approval or not. Let's just make that very clear.
Yeah.
So you have the decision to make about whether you make sure she knows that you love her, no matter what decision she makes, whatever mistakes she makes, how she stumbles and falls, that you will be there to help her, pick her up, and encourage her. Because unfortunately, she is going to stumble. She's going to make some piss poor choices. She's going to have her heart broken. And you cannot stop that. And the more you stop it, the more she's going to go headfirst into it anyway, just to spite you. All you can do as a parent is just to remind her to respect herself, to respect her body, to remind herself to love herself, and to make those choices from that position. But that doesn't mean she's not going to make some bad choices, or she's going to she's got to learn. This is no different from what I'm sure he went through as a teenage boy and the poor choices he made. You can't avoid that. And fretting about the fact that she's now growing up and becoming an adult that's now going to explore herself is not going to change the fact that she's an adult. She's a young adult who's going to explore herself. All you can do is just remind her that you love her, that she must make sure that whoever she interacts with, that she must respect herself, love herself, and really think about, is the person that she's seeing worthy of that? And do they respect and love her the way that she respects and loves herself? Apart from that, there's not much else you can do except provide a safe haven for her, because when she gets her heart broken, when a boy does something that hurts her, she needs someone to come back to, a foundation that makes her feel safe as she's out there living life and making mistakes, as she will. In terms of the mother, you would obviously need to have a conversation with her, because the same way you wouldn't like it if she told you how to interact with her daughter, she probably won't like it if you tell her how to interact with daughter. But obviously you can express your concern and try to find a middle ground about what it is that you both want for your daughter. I think if you can both be united in what you want for your daughter, then how she goes about saying that is kind of irrelevant because you're both different. But so long as you're both kind of enforcing the same message that you love her, that she needs to learn to love herself, how the mother goes about it is up to her. The same way how he chooses to express it is up to us. But so long as you're both reinforcing that same message of love and respect and kindness, and do you know what I mean, to the daughter and within herself, um, is hard. And also you got to remember, if the mum's not around much, she has that freedom to be the fun mum who can have these fun conversations because she's not with her day to day, and maybe remind her of that. Like, okay, I appreciate that you're not always here, so you get to be the fun one, but that's not fair to the dad in it because it makes him seem like he's the bad cop. So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I get it. The mum's not around, so she gets to flit in and out and be the fun one, but that's not fair to the dad, and maybe he needs to express that, but do it from a place of calm though. Really think about what it is that you want for your daughter and what you can basically, agree on, and then move forward with that. Hopefully.
Yeah, because I think that's what a lot of parents who are raising children together but separately have to deal with. The parent who's not always there probably does feel like I have to go out of my way more, do more of the fun stuff than being a parent, because I want her to know that I'm still the mother, I'm still the father. They can love me like they love the other parent, but because they're not there, they may do things that sometimes the other parent like, listen, it's just not in the best interest, or the way you're going about it is more of a friend than a parent.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You have to remember that the mum has to remember that she is the mum. She's not a friend. You don't need to be her friend. She's got friends. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's the other thing. It's like, but at the same time, that doesn't mean you can't be a safe space for your daughter, for her to come to you to talk about things. But you can still do that while you're a parent. But she don't need you to be her friend. She needs you to be her mum. Yeah, because she's got plenty of friends, and she'll continue to make plenty of friends. What she needs is a safe space to come back to when life kind of kicks her butt a little bit, so that you can provide that safe, motherly, caring, guiding space. But she don't need you to be her friend. She got plenty. Yeah, definitely let her know I love you. And do you know the thing is, I think it's a hard line to balance as a parent, that you want to make sure that there's an open, non-judgmental space so that your child can come to you and tell you when things are troubling them. Yeah, that's what you want to remind your child. It's like, I'm not going to judge you. I've lived life just like you. I've made my mistakes. I've done the things you've done. I get it. That's what you want to remind your child. Is like, I'm not going to judge you for the fact that maybe you went off with a bad boy, or this boy broke your heart, or maybe you did something before maybe you was ready. We've all done that. That's what you need to remind your child, is that you understand, and there's compassion, there's no judgment, and that you still love her. But you don't need to do that by being pally with her. You can still be her mum and be that safe space, but you don't need to be her friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See. Jeez.
Oh, young girls will break their daddy's heart. Because why? She's not a young girl anymore. She's a young woman.
Yes.
And that is the definition you also need to understand as well. Which is hard, because you'll see her as your baby girl for her whole life. Understandably.
Oh, man. Chilling. Okay, next up, Lonely Girl.
Lonely girl. Such a lonely girl. I'm sorry, I'm not mocking it, sorry.
No.
But that song just bumped into my head. Hey there, lonely girl.
I ain't heard that song in a long time.
I know. I'm a random encyclopedia of random shit. This is what happens.
Okay. She says, I'm a plus-size woman, and I have become so discouraged when it comes to dating. I get so tired of hearing how cute my face is, and then nothing else is said. I work out and eat as healthy as possible when I can. Guys make me feel like crap, especially when we meet, and their face says, oh, she's a big girl. I have actually had guys lie as to why they can't stay for a date or rush the date to be over. It's not just guys. Even when I hang out with the ladies, they make little comments like, oh, you want more than a salad, or they'll ask for a to-go box and say, girl, you want to eat this later. You know what? Dang. I'll get to that later. It may all be in fun, but it hurts. They are all small sizes, so when they get approached and guys come over, I feel like the ugly friend. I just feel so alone and left out. And for some people to say, oh, she that friend, that must be a lady thing. No one sticks up for me. Sometimes I struggle to keep my confidence up as I fall off my workout plans. It would be just nice if for once someone could see me as a friend or be interested in me as a mate because of who I am as a person. I am 40 years old and I should be past this, but sometimes I just get so discouraged. What can I do to make people see me or not be who I am?
I think your answer's in the question. You're focusing on the outside instead of the inside. You're focusing on, I want people to see me, I want people to love me, I want people to say nice things about me. You've got no control over that. But what you do have control over is how you see yourself, is how you speak to yourself, is how you love yourself. And I do not say that flippantly, because just as equally as plus size women and men have problems, so do skinny people. So do people with big bums. So do people with big noses, small noses, curly hair, long hair. The reason I say that is because all of us have something we don't like about ourselves. And all of us believe the grass is greener and wish I could just look like XYZ. But you are who you are and you've got what you got. So you got to love it. There's no givesy backsies. There's no exchanges. And so my advice would be, how are you talking to yourself? What do you see when you look in the mirror? What do you believe when you talk to yourself and think about yourself and feel about yourself? Because more than 9 times out of 10, your outer world reflects your inner world. Now, that may be a hard pill to swallow because no one would like to think that they would willingly date men that are going to belittle them or talk to them a certain way or be around friends that say dumb shit like what she just said. But if you really don't value yourself deep, deep down in the darkness of the night and it's just you, yourself, and I, then more than likely your outer world reflects that. Your friends saying supposedly joking but actually really quite hurtful things, you need to look at your circle. Those aren't friends. Because friends aren't with you because you're plus size or skinny size. They're with you because you're you and what you and your energy and your character brings to their life. What your size is has got nothing to do with them, so they shouldn't even be talking about that. So if you've got friends who talk to you that way, they're not friends. And that's hard to say because sometimes they could be people you've known for years and you're used to them and you make excuses for them. But if you don't believe you deserve better, you won't get better. So you need to look at that. How do you feel about you? And what are you doing about that? And how do you really encourage you? How do you love you? How are you compassionate towards you? And your outer world will definitely change to reflect that. Easier said than done, though. I do say that.
Yeah. Angelique said it much nicer than I was. I was about to say, your friends ain't shit. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but there's absolutely... It's just certain things that even if you are friends and you're sitting at a table together, you can look at a person and see their facial expressions and know, like, this is not making them comfortable. Remember when I told you, like, a couple months ago, I did that training class and how they was picking on that one guy was making the fat jokes.
Yeah.
About the big guy.
Mm-hmm.
And like, even though everybody thought, oh, it's cool, he's just joking, you always got to consider the other person, because what you consider to be a random joke or you're just playing around, if it's hurting that person, it's not a joke, regardless if other people laugh. So your friends need to be considerate, and maybe you just need to kind of like let your friends know, like, that's why I wish I could ask her, like, have you ever told your friends, like, when you say this, it makes me feel this way. And if they respect you and be like, hey, we're sorry, it won't happen again, then you got friends. But if them heifers keep going, tell them to kiss your ass. Because
all
nobody,
of it.
Yeah, nobody.
All of that beautiful plus size of it. Kiss it all.
Yeah, nobody should make you feel that way. And I get it, because I'm not a small guy either. And I get people like, hey, big man, or, they say little things, even though I don't take it personal. And they, and some people say, well, you said big man, you think like the guy in charge. But for yourself, like, no, that ain't why you saying big man. I know that. But, you just got to work, like Andrew said, focus on how you think about yourself, how you see yourself. Work on your self-confidence.
Yeah, Reggie made a really great point about, have you actually expressed to your friends that those little comments are hurtful? And maybe you have, but if you haven't, that's a really great test to see the integrity of your supposed friends.
Yes.
Because like you said, if you actually express calmly, but confident and say, listen, I know you may think it's joking, but actually it hurts me. It makes me feel X, Y, Z. You can see what their reaction is. And a person of integrity and someone who really cares for you would genuinely be like, you know what? I'm really sorry. It was just a joke. I didn't think about that. I would never hurt you. A real friend would say something along them lines. If they come out with some bullshit of, it's just a joke, we know we playing, hit the road, Jack, and don't come back. No, they gotta go. Because you are worthy of living a life and receiving love that does not require you to suffer first. That is a mantra that I say to myself. And I may not be plus size, but darling, I've got my own insecurities. And I have to remind myself of that fact. Everybody has an insecurity for something or the other. But that doesn't detract from the fact that you are allowed and worthy of living a life and receiving love that does not require you to suffer first. You are you, and you bring something to the world that only you are bringing to this world. You may not see that, but if you don't take the time to discover what that is and connect with that, neither will the other people that you're interacting with. You can't ask people to see you if you don't see you. And again, that's easier said than done, but that's where you got to start.
Excellent point. So hang in there, lonely girl.
Yeah, you don't need to be lonely, girl. There's plenty of people that want to know you and get to know you. Come and talk to me. I really want to meet you. Trust me, there are people out there. There is a foot for every shoe. Yeah? Every horse for every course, mate, as we say in England. Different horses for different courses, love. I'm saying in old Inglaterra.
Oh my goodness. Next we got Macy Ace.
Macy Ace. That sounds like a cleaning product. I use Macy Ace to clean my kitchen.
I wonder where she get that name from. Let's see. Let me tell you, I love the show.
Hey.
Reggie, Angelique, and Melissa, thank you so much. You're all amazing. You're amazing too.
Yes, right back at you, Macy Ace.
Now give me your honest opinion on my situation.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. My husband and I have been married for 12 years. We have an anniversary coming up on August 12th. We have lived in California all of our lives, and I'm so ready for a change. He never leaves the Bay Area, even on our honeymoon. Even our honeymoon was in California. I want to travel and experience diverse cultures and places, but he has no interest in traveling at all. He feels like it's a waste of money. I'm trying to translate what she wrote here. I want to leave California and live somewhere else. It's the same old thing. Cali is changing because many people are moving here because marijuana has been legalized. That is true. I'm starting to feel resentment and trapped, and I want out of this box now. How would you suggest I approach the situation to get him to understand I am ready for a change, or our relationship status may have to change? Man, people are ready to bounce on these relationships.
I mean, I will say this, more than likely, if they're sending questions, it's got to the point where this is not just some new subject. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure this has been like a long-suffering subject.
Yeah.
I hope that, because the reason I say that, I hope it's not a case of, we spoke about it yesterday, he said, no, I'm leaving him. That's not, I hope that's not what's happening here, but I'm going to assume, good people, that these are long-suffering subjects, hence why they're asking about it. And they probably reached the end of what they feel is their tether. What I would say is people really do get caught up in this whole to become one, and like, I have to do everything with my partner. Why don't you just take yourself to travel a little bit?
Good point.
You wanna explore the world? Go explore the world, baby girl, go. I travel by myself. I've been with my partner for 15 years. I take myself out on trips, and we also go together. Now, it's a bonus that he happens wants to travel, but not everything you want to do, your partner must want to do and do with you. If you want to travel, the world is your oyster. Go and see it. And come back and share the stories with him. And you never know, that might encourage him to want to see what you've seen when he sees how enthusiastic and you know what I mean, and happy you are with the things that you've seen. You never know. Sometimes you need to be the one that goes out and is brave and leads the way first. Yeah, go and be a pioneer. Because that's what you want to do. He's already expressed to you he don't want to do it. So why are you trying to force him to do something he don't want to do? I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that he does that you don't want to do, and you don't do it. Go travel. If you want to travel, go travel. Now, that's in terms of the traveling. In terms of like location, that's hard. Because if your partner really does love to live in Cali and don't want to consider nowhere else, you know, that's hard, especially if you want to. But you never know. Maybe start with doing some traveling for yourself first, and maybe start locally because it's easier said than done. Like when I went on my very first solo trip, I was scared shitless, Reggie. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get mugged, I'm gonna get killed. Who am I gonna talk to? I'm gonna be so lonely. All these things, but actually, it was so freeing, and I love it. I love it just as much as traveling with my partner or friends. Yeah, but you don't know that until you try it. So maybe start off small and go visit somewhere else in America, like a different state, a different city. And then eventually maybe you'll build up the courage to actually get on a plane and go somewhere internationally. But do that first of all, and you never know, that might actually just appease your unease and unrest. Do you know what I mean? The restlessness that she's feeling. Because you never know, maybe going around and seeing different places and giving herself those breaks and times away in her own experiences will be enough to settle the need for change. Because you never know, seeing different places will mean that she's going to have fun, like she'll enjoy coming back home. Do you see what I mean? And suddenly she'll have a new appreciation from home because she's getting out there and seeing the variety, and it's fulfilling that aspect of her. You never know. Mm-hmm. Try that first, and it might actually appease the need of needing to move, because maybe all you just need is a bit of variety and to see some new things. And America's a great land for that. You guys are living in a big ass state. What the hell, man? Go explore your own country. Start there first.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's some great points, and just see if you can you may have to start off small with him. Instead of like going from, say, California to DC or to Florida, maybe go to Nevada, maybe go up to Oregon, Texas, kind of keep it close, but not too far away. Don't culture shock them too fast. So you may have to start off kind of slow, but I do get it. I mean, Angelique's right. Some people they're content where they are.
Yeah, they are.
They don't. And I know people. That. Yeah, and I know people that have never left their own city. So you just kind of be patient, and I wouldn't say run away from it. Listen, for all y'all talking about ending these relationships, listen, getting out here in this single world, I'm telling you, be careful what you ask for,
because you just might get it. No, like that's actually a really good point about starting small. Like he loves Cali. Cali's a big state. Go and see the different cities in Cali. He's still within his beloved state, but you're seeing something different. And figure out what interests he have. If he's into football or golfing, maybe find somewhere that has a great golfing place in Cali. Do you know what I mean? A different place you could go to. You know what I mean? Find activities that he likes, or foods that he likes, and research that and say, hey, we can go visit San Diego and they've got a great golf, or they've got a great Mexican food place. Whatever his interests are, do you see what I mean? Ooh, that maybe will entice him. Oh, God, he's dribbling on the mic. He's dribbling. Wipe your face, Reggie. Wipe your face. You're going to destroying the mic with your dribble. Yeah, so I like that suggestion as well if you really want him to come. But at the end of the day, if you've tried that and you've tried to find places that are in the California state with activities that he enjoys and he still says no, my lovely, you're going to have to accept that. That's not his thing. It's your thing, and maybe go and do it for yourself. And maybe that's just for you and it's your thing.
Yeah.
In couples, people forget you don't have to do everything together. Some things you need for yourself, because then you've got things to talk about. You can talk about this experience. Oh, I did this today. This was crazy. And then, do you know what I mean? Because if you're doing everything together, by the way, you've got not much to talk about. Oh, do you remember that place? Yeah, I know. I was there with you. Okay.
See?
You remember that food? Oh, I ate the food with you. Oh, okay, cool. All right then. Do you know what I mean? It's good to have your own individual experiences, because then you'll have more things to bring to the table, more things to talk about. And it adds new layers to you as a person. You got to remember to grow you as an individual as well as yourself as a couple.
Exactly.
And that is what I'll say on that.
All right. The next one, anonymous. A friend I have known for years recently introduced me to his new partner. It was unusual for either one of us to meet someone and not tell the other person. My fiance and I were invited out to meet them at a restaurant. He introduced us and told us that his new partner is a transgender person. I just got quiet because I did not know what to say. Fortunately, my fiance stepped in. See, that's husband, wife, man, and woman teamwork. Stepped in and took over the conversation. There was no yelling or ghetto stuff like you see on TV. We just talked and had dinner. But it wasn't the same. We didn't speak for a couple weeks. He texted me saying that I was judging him and avoiding him. I didn't respond back. My girl ran into his partner and she told her that he is feeling like he lost his best friend but I feel like the person I knew as my best friend is not the same person. I'm not mad about who he chose to be with, but I feel like he was not being honest as a friend. Am I wrong for how I feel? What do you think?
Well, you're never wrong to feel how you feel. Let me just clarify that. You're allowed to feel how the hell you want to feel, whether someone gets it or not. So no, you're not wrong to feel how you feel. But I think you need to have a conversation. Like, you can't ask us this question. You're asking the wrong person. You need to speak to your friend. Like, clarify to him why you've not replied and why there has been distance. He wants to know that, and he deserves to know, and you also deserve to express that. You deserve to express to him that maybe you felt a way about how he introduced his new partner to you, and that it made you feel a way, and explain why. And then that way it will give a chance for him to understand you, and then to explain himself as to why he delayed it. And the only thing that I can suspect, based on your reaction, is if he's known you for years, he had a feeling he was going to react like that, and he was nervous, hence why he delayed. More than likely. Because if you guys know each other as well as I'm assuming you do, he probably knew that maybe you feel a way about transgenders, or maybe meeting a transgender in real life. Because people can, this is the thing, Reggie, people are like, oh, I've got no problem with gay people. I've got no problem with transgender, so long as you don't physically meet them. But then when you see one in real life, or you interact with someone of that type, suddenly it's a different story. So, and that's the other thing. People love to chat the chat. I'm cool. No, I'm cool. So long as they stay away from me, that's not going to happen. It's the world. You're eventually going to meet different people of different kinds, And I'm not saying that you need to be okay with everything. You're allowed to like or not like, or get down with or not get down with what you want. Yeah, but maybe your friend had a feeling that maybe you wouldn't react well and would react this way, and hence his delay. But again, you're asking the wrong people. We ain't your friend. You need to speak to your friend.
Yeah. See, this is kind of tough because I've heard people with this issue, and here's my thing. Now, to anybody out there in the LBGTQ and all the rest of the initials community,
you did really good. Yeah, I'm about to say you did good naming them letters. I would have fucked that up and pissed off a whole bunch of people.
And I still think I missed some.
You probably did, but at least you tried.
Do not take offense to what I'm about to say. Many people who have transitioned, or, who are in that category, you have time to process and think about the fact that you want it to be that you're a woman trapped in a man's body, or a man trapped in a woman's body, or that you're attracted to men, or that you're a woman attracted to woman. You've had time to process this. But I think sometimes you kind of forget the fact that you've spent years, or, kind of processing this information and dealing with it, and you haven't revealed it to somebody who's a close friend. And all of a sudden, when you drop it on them, you want them to have your understanding at that moment. But remember, they knew you as, John, the good friend, the football guy, the guy who used to like girls, because that's what they have been led to believe. So you kind of got to give them a little leeway and a little adjustment time, to kind of understand, like, okay, you're the same person, but it's just maybe a few little things that's a little different about you that they just kind of got to come to grips with. I don't think it's the fact that he hates the guy. I don't think he dislikes him. I think he just kind of feels like, okay, why am I just learning this?
Mm.
Why did you never open up about this before?
I think that's actually a really great point. It is an extremely great point. Like I've said in multiple other questions, you have to take the time to put yourself in someone else's shoes. And like you said, just because you've now decided to come out, or you're okay with this decision about who you want to date or who you want to be, that's fine. Like you said, you've had the time to think about that. But maybe your friend, like you said, knew you as XYZ, and now you're presenting. You've got to allow people the time to process.
Yeah.
You can't, and people, and also don't judge people on their initial reaction. We often react in random, weird ways when we're presented with unexpected news. Like, a lot of the time, people's initial reaction hasn't actually got shit to do with how they really feel about it. They just didn't know what to do, and they're like, oh, floundered. You know what I mean? Freaked out. People need time to process. Some people are really good at handling unexpected news and just roll with the punches. Do you know what I mean? And they're cool. But other people take time to process, and you need to respect that. But again, since it's been a couple of weeks, take the time to speak to him and let him know where you're at, let him know your thoughts, and then you can take it from there. You guys have known each other for years. It would be a shame to let go of a friendship over lack of communication. Because and by the way, the longer you leave something, the more it becomes a harder subject to face and deal with. It becomes something you just want to sweep under the carpet.
Exactly.
Rip the band-aid off. You're both grown men. You've known each other, and I'm sure you've both been through loads of experiences together. Sit down and talk to him and tell it to him truthfully. He will respect you. He can talk to you truthfully, and you guys can understand each other more. Because that's what you need, is clarity and understanding in this situation.
Yeah, because it sounds like neither one wants to lose the friendship.
Not at all. And that's good. The fact that you're asking about this means you care. So direct that care to the person in question, your friend.
Exactly. Go to a dinner, just the two of you. The two of you guys go somewhere and talk and leave everybody else at home. Okay. Done and done.
Wow, that's double done. Okay. Let's go.
Hey, Simply Straight Talk. I can use some advice on a family situation. Earlier this year, my sister and her husband moved in with us to save money since they relocated from Florida. But after 9 months, I am ready for them to get the hell out. Okay, don't be shy.
No, she's not shy. She's called done and done.
Done and done. Our place has become so crowded and utility bills have increased. We are now spending close to $180 on electric a month and $75 on water. Before, our electric was only $60 and our water was only $30 at the most. Don't even get started on our grocery bill. The most money they have given us is $150. In 9 months?
Hey, what? There's maths are not mathing. What?
Ooh. My husband is ready to put them out. We miss our privacy. I'm trying to be patient, but she is my sister. How would you handle it?
Oh, honesty is the best policy, done and done. If you are not happy with the situation in your house, you need to talk about what you would like to change in your house. I keep stressing your house because this is your house. Yeah, they're guests. Sister or no sister, you are extending your home to them, and you're doing something you don't have to do. Just because she has the title of sister doesn't mean you have to extend your home and open it to them. So they need to respect the fact that it's your house. Now, I'm not saying you need to fling down some unreasonable rules, because if the shoe was on the other foot, you don't want to be inconsiderate. But at the same time, they are in your house, using the water, using electricity, eating the food. They must contribute, because even if they were living on their own, they would pay for these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's no free, as my parents would say, this is not a hotel. And even if it was a hotel, I don't know why I did an African accent. My parents are Caribbean. I blame my partner, he's African. But even if it was a hotel, you still got to pay the bill. Okay, so they need to contribute. Now, if they don't have the financial aid to do that, that's fine. But that doesn't mean they can't contribute a small amount each month. But something does need to be contributed, whether it's weekly, fortnightly, or monthly, based on what they can financially afford. Because something is better than nothing. Yeah? Secondly, in terms of privacy, it is hard when you share your space. I've lived with different people over my years, and what I would say is talk to them. Your house, so I'm sure there's times when you and your partner want a house to yourself, to have some space to yourself. Maybe tell them, maybe every other weekend, or once a month, twice a month, whatever works for you guys, they go somewhere else for the weekend, or they go out for the night, they go visit a friend. Do you know what I mean? Do something so that you guys have the space to just enjoy your house and have that alone time together. Do you see what I mean? Because you can only do what you can do, and you've got to compromise when it's a multiple person living situation. But if you don't open your mouth and lay some ground rules and say, listen, at least once a month, one weekend a month, I need you guys to go stay with friends, or go stay with another relative, or whatever, so that me and my husband can have the space to ourselves. You have every right to ask for that. And unfortunately, whatever you say, they're going to have to abide by it, because it's your house. And if they don't like it, they can leave. As harsh as it is, that is the harsh reality. They're grown people, they're not children. So they don't really have a choice but to abide by any rules you throw down. But my advice would be to at least be considerate when you're laying down the rules, and try to compromise as much as you can. But at the end of the day, it is your house. And also, agree a timeline of when they're going to leave.
Exactly.
Please set a deadline, because when you say take as long as you need, that means I'm going to take as long as I need. And maybe I might need a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So stipulate a deadline and stick to it, come what may. And I mean that. If you say this time next year you need to leave, when it comes up to the month before, say how are you getting on with that deadline. If they say I'm still not ready, I'm sorry, that's the deadline. Because unless people have a motivation and fire under their backside, they will take the string and hang themselves with it.
Yeah. I think you actually gave them the best advice. It's like, you got to set a deadline. You got to set that timeline of like, this is when you're going to be leaving. Because like you said, they're not going to leave. You got free room and board. You got free food.
Would
Come
you
on.
leave?
I wouldn't leave.
No, I'd be like, I'm still in it for the long run. This couch is comfortable. I paid £150 in 9 months.
Yeah.
Why are they leaving? You've created a better space than even hotels create.
Exactly.
If you don't pay the bill, the hotel's kicking you out.
Exactly. Yeah, they need to just set it. I mean, I know it's a sister, but set that timeline, even for her husband, because that does get it. When you live in a house with somebody else, it bills do increase.
Of course, and that's understandable. And even, and like I said, if they were living in their own place, they'd have to pay for that. So they don't get away with it just because they're now in your house. And also, just because she has the title of sister doesn't mean she can take advantage. She wouldn't do it to a random stranger, so then that means even more so she should not do it to you because you have the title of sister, if we're going to start flinging those titles of family around. Because quite frankly, I love me some family, but when you start using that as a thing to hide behind or abuse, it's not on.
No.
If you're both going to treasure the title family and sister, then respect and honor it. Have respect for the fact that that is my sister. I don't want to take advantage, so I'm going to contribute as much as I can. This is what I can afford. Ask her what can she afford, set an amount and stick to it and ask for it. And if they don't stick to it, they got to go. Simple. Because if just like children, if you don't lay down boundaries and guidelines, people will just, hey, party, party, party. Because you ain't set no boundaries.
No.
You ain't set no boundaries, people are going to walk all over you. And you can't get mad. And the thing is, you can't get mad at her for walking all over you when you ain't set no guidelines. You've told her it's a free-for-all. So, boy, Bridget, it's free-for-all, isn't it?
And I know that's got to be hard on a relationship because
of course,
her and her husband probably
that.
go to work, then come home, and they don't have that intimate time. They don't have that quiet time because now they got to deal with other people in the house. Mm-hmm.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Don't mix money with family or family or friends or lovers. There has to be clear guidelines. I don't mess about. I lend someone money. What's the timeline you can pay it back? Please keep me updated if anything changes. But this ain't like a friend. This is a business transaction, effectively.
Yeah.
You got to treat it like that. It might seem cold, but it's the only way you can protect your relationship as sisters. Obviously, do it with love and kindness, and don't be like some horrible military person. But if you don't respect yourself and put down guide rules, people won't respect you or respect your boundaries. You see what I mean? You need to sort of protect your home, protect your peace, whilst providing shelter for your sister.
See, take our advice.
Yeah, I don't mess about with stuff like that.
I wouldn't either.
I'll kick my own brother out. I love him dearly, but and my brother Alex will know. I told him to come out my house when he was just a little bit too. I loved him, but I was like, no. This is my house. I work hard to pay for this roof over my head. Yeah, and I'm providing you shelter because I love you and I can see you need help, but do not take advantage of my kindness. This is my house. Respect it. These are my rules. If you don't like it, fair enough. There's the door. Go find somewhere that works better for you, innit?
That's it. We're not laughing at you, done and done.
He's laughing at me. He's always laughing at me.
Hey, as always, we always appreciate you checking out the show, man. Me and Angelique really enjoy giving feedback to some of the listeners' questions. Now, I want you to go ahead and click on the next one and check out part 2.